Hey everybody, I'm going to try something different today. I'm not going to do my little video insert because it's going to get in the way of some of this information. Doing a bit of a slideshow with some data, just an overall view of where we're at on AMC, why I still personally believe in the squeeze. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is educational, entertainment, whatever you want to call it, just my opinion and where I am looking to go with AMC. So, to start off with, I believe the squeeze is coming soon, any day, any week. I just believe it. I want it to be, so of course there's some confirmation bias there. So, it may not, it may be a couple of months, but I'm thinking it's looking pretty good for right now. So, why not be hopeful? Why will AMC squeeze? Here are some reasons. 80 million to 100 million short shares need to be bought back. That is the current short interest. That's what we know. That's what's reported. It could be a lot higher, but we don't have evidence to say it's a lot higher. We have a lot of theories. We have a lot of things we believe. And I personally do believe it is higher just because the share count isn't coming out that way. I just believe the information is so hidden from us and it will be exposed. So just on the 80 to 100 million, we can have that short squeeze, a massive squeeze, huge price action. And once that starts happening, I think the truth will be pretty obvious when it goes to insane heights that there were a lot more naked shares out there than we could ever see. And it will be obvious. Even with a certain percentage of paper hands, even when we're talking a million paper hands out of the 4 million retail investors, there's still a ton of shares to buy. Most of the volume we see is deceptive. It's high frequency trading. So it's the same 10 million shares being traded back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all day long to get those hundreds of millions in volume. They just keep playing the pennies, the fractions of pennies on those stocks over and over again to make their money. And it gives us crazy volumes, but it's not real. It's not really Ape's shares changing hands. We're holding our shares. There is not a high volume of shares being bought and sold. That's why the threshold list came out saying these shares are so hard to get. There's tons of failures to deliver right now. So we know for a fact 80 to 100 million shares, real shares, will take a lot longer than the point whatever it is days to cover that it shows right now. That's purely based on the volume that's there. But remember, it has to be 80 to 100 million different shares, not the same shares over and over again. So the days to cover we see is really useless. It's not a very handy stat at all. Don't pay any mind to it. Just know that 100 million shares shorted is a ton of shares for the shorts to have to buy back, and it will take time. It will at least take a day, if not multiple days. And the multiple days depends on if there's a lot of naked shorting, which we don't know, but we'll find out soon enough. So the core of diamond-handed apes, the ones who have been there for months and months and months, who have seen $8 and $10, $12, 15, they've proven themselves to be, in it for the long term. They're going to wait for those at least triple digits, if not 4 or 5 figures, and some 6 figures, right? Like everybody has their floor and their ceiling and what they hope to get out of this. So that's given me hope to say that this is nowhere near the price level that we'll see at the end. Reason 2, hedgies are holding on by a thin wire. There have been so many new rules coming out, and each one we think is going to be a big catalyst, but really it's all of them combined. It's the pressure that adds on to the shorts. These hedge funds have billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in some cases. They have a lot of resources to drag this out, but the more stringent the requirements are, the higher the margin requirements are, the more collateral they have to put up. They're not unlimited. They have limits, right? They will be pushed to cover at some point. And even if the prime brokers and them are buddy-buddy, they will at some point say it's better your money than mine and make them cover and have margin calls, right? So it costs us nothing to hold other than maybe some bills don't get paid off as quick as they should. But for them, it's costing them tens of billions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and combined billions of dollars so far. And as the FOMO buying picks up, it just goes crazy. And that just is an insane amount of pressure on them. So they're the ones that are hanging on by a wire. And it just takes one little step on a finger to make them drop over the edge. So it sucks waiting. I get it. Trust me, I get it, because I need this to happen financially for me and for my family. But hey, it's going to happen. They're the ones that have the pressure. Negative media coverage is getting crazy. We've seen it pick up, and really there are some more positive things coming out. Trey and Matt are getting a lot of airtime in recent weeks, and that's great for us. Charles Payne has been good, but otherwise, there's just a ton of bought and paid for media shills out there putting out articles that support the short position, that bash AMC, and even when we get good news, they somehow make it negative. So it really doesn't matter, but when it gets ridiculous, I know the hedge funds are running scared. Like, they are pulling things out of their ass left and right. Like, this iceberg research, iceberg lettuce, it reminds me of Glacier Capital and sort of that fake company that just suddenly appears when needed to put out a negative story. So obviously they're just some kind of a shill fake front of a company that serves a purpose, right? They're legitimate enough to be useful, but other than that, they're kind of fake. And they just put something out and publicly say they're shorting it and it's over. Obviously, the more they say that, the more we double down and buy more. They should really learn their lesson. But unless it's coming from someone you trust, like a Charles Payne, if you trust him and others that, show their ape colors and really do and have shown their support for the movement from the beginning, don't trust them. Just trust the research, trust the DD. Watch Matt and Trey and Gabe and TMI and Rogue and Short the Vix and Tom and all these guys. There's so many, Andy, all of these true apes that have been there from the beginning. Watch their shows, watch the DD, look on Reddit in the forums that you trust, but take it with a grain of salt as well. There's a lot out there that isn't very accurate sometimes, and we tend to jump the gun looking for that, again, confirmation bias to prove what we want to be true. So just be smart, right, and look into it. But the negative media coverage is getting pretty funny. Like, the more it gets like that, the more we must be hitting a nerve and pretty close. Reason 4, the Ape Movement has shone a light on the shadiness of Wall Street, the corruption. So politicians aren't blind to that. The SEC, Biden, Gensler, their crew, they're politicians, and they're looking out for their own best interests. I don't know if any of them really care about us, about the average Joe. They're more often friends with the billionaires, but at the same time, they like their jobs and they like, the political arena. So they get it that there's 4 million apes worldwide, and most of them in North America, most of them in the US, that have put billions of dollars into this. If this doesn't turn out in a really transparent way, and if it turns out in a negative way, there may be blood on the streets. Like, political careers will be toast. Biden is getting up there in age. He might not have too many campaigns left, but there are a lot of politicians out there who realize that we're watching them watching us, and they have to do something. And so a lot of these SEC investigations and things that are going on, they're going to come. Politics is slow, government is slow, but I believe it's happening behind the scenes, and we're going to start seeing some of these smaller fish be sacrificial lambs, and that's going to help, and that's probably going to push the stock price up, and then fry some of those bigger fish. At best, I think they won't help them too much. They'll sort of leave them high and dry on their own, whereas before they might have helped them get out of this mess. Maybe not so much this time. If the Fed bails them in the end, they do. But at least we'll be able to afford to ride that storm. Final reason, and a big one, technically and fundamentally, AMC is just getting better. It's worth a lot more now. Like, it's not a $2 stock anymore, no matter what anyone says. technically it's made some huge bullish moves. There's strong consolidation. We've just been going up and up. We've gone from 2 to 5 to 8 to 10 to 12, 15, and all the way up into the 50s now. And we've hit 60s and even over 70s. So we've done nothing but go up for 6 months. There's no reason to think we're going to go down. We're not losing interest. This is a stock, a movement, a way of life now for a lot of us. I think we're addicted to the stock. So if anything, it's only going to climb up. If that climb is slow, it's still going to add pressure onto the shorts, and they will eventually cover, right? The debt has been paid down. Bankruptcy's off the table. Stronger box offices, adding pay-per-view events like the McGregor fight. Talking about esports. Could there be a GameStop collab in there? Like, could they partner up, merge, anything? Like, so many possibilities that could be catalysts, things that are improving AMC, giving it publicity, bringing more people into it. Like, AMC is getting to be a household name everywhere in the world. I'm in Canada, and we only have like 2 or 3 AMCs in the big cities, but still, here I am, AMC Ape, right? So it's a big, big thing, and it's not going to get any smaller, right? So this giant bull flag that is coming up, look at this sucker. Like, it's massive. The longer it takes, really, it just makes a bigger and bigger flag. And so all this consolidation and sideways movement, as boring as it is, and as much as you see the dips in there, look at the action. It's still going up. And so we have to be confident. We have to see that the big picture is this stock is on the rise. It is not going down. And chances are this pennant is going to end in a big breakout to the upside. And, looking at the price action, that could go up over $100 any day now. It may not, there's nothing promised in the stock market. It could break to the downside. Like, we could have our dip and then rip. But at the same time, overall, big picture, look at it. It's a stock that's going up. And so you just have to believe in that and know it's coming. I have to remind myself of that because there's down days I have. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, this has to go up. Please, it's got to save me, AMC. But, things take time. And the longer it takes, the more pressure that builds in that pot, it is going to boil over into something massive. A rocket is right. Is it too late? It's gone from 2 to 60. How much more could it rise? Well, look at the prices on the stock market. Look at Apple at thousands of dollars a share and other things. Like, people say, oh, it's not Apple, though. It's not Amazon. It's not. But at the same time, things have the value we give them. Gold is a shiny metal. We make it valuable because of its properties, because we like it. AMC is no different, right? Like, we give it this value and it can have even more value. So it's what we decide. And we don't have to listen to the media. We don't have to care if AMC is bringing in money hand over fist, if popcorn isn't $1 million a bag, right? Like, those things will come. The more money that goes into this company, the more capital they can raise. And eventually, when the squeeze is over, we buy back in and they can afford to sell more shares and we buy them up. They're going to be a really successful company. And hopefully movies will change for the better, virtual reality and all sorts of crazy things. And it's not a dead cat, right? As Trey would say. So I think the future is really bright. Like, all these fundamentals are here. We have FOMO buying could push us well up into the hundreds of dollars per share. And when that happens, especially if there's still a lot of interest in the options, which there always is when there's a lot of price action, gamma squeezes drive it up even more. And then the margin calls just have to happen. No one can afford to be down hundreds of percent, thousands of percent on their shorts and still hold them. They just can't. They have to at some point cave in. The brokers will force them to. So it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time. Looking at some possible price action, and again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just some guesswork here, some wishful thinking maybe. But this is very possible. Take a look at where we're at now in the $52 range, up to 75. With this little spike from the bull pennant, and then the gamma squeezes come in and push us up over 100, and then we're into the hundreds of dollars. Notice there still will be dips at that level. When we're talking about normal stock price action, there are dips and rips, right? It goes up and down. But notice, as long as you're having higher lows, we're still on the right track. And looking at this type of a chart, that could easily happen. And so when you look at where we need to worry about selling, Well, look at how this goes, right? We get the dip, the rip, the dip, the rip. It goes up to 300. Then we get another dip and it's going back down, getting close to 200 again. And at any one of these points, we could say, oh, I should sell. I don't want to lose my profits. But look at the massive rip up after 300, after that final dip. I don't know if it's going to be at 300, if it's going to be at 150, or where that dip will be and when it will rip to the moon. But the point is, unless you see crazy price action, crazy, like, hundreds of dollars in a few seconds, and it's going up into the thousands, that's when the shorts are covering, when it's crazy high, not this normal, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. It's sort of like, GameStop action, right? Like, it's when it goes up in that big spike, like, GameStop in January action, like even us in January action, when the spike is just drastic, like 10 times the price in a matter of, 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, right? When it's going up that much, then someone's covering. That's when you have to start thinking about your exit plan, right? Letting it ride to the top, holding on as long as you can. And when you see it actually start to come down significantly in a major way from that peak, then you start selling and make your tendies. So until that happens, hold on, dime in hand. And remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. The more people that talk about AMC, the better it is for us. The more people's nerves are calmed and they realize, hey, it's a bit longer game than I hoped, but the game is still in play, right? We're going to get there. The more people that believe that, the better the position we'll be in, the better it is for all of us. So again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just how I'm looking at it. And I hope others share that view and that we all benefit and become really wealthy and change our lives for us, our families from now on. Have a great one, apes. Take care and peace out.